How is it going, everyone? It's Johnny Beard here with another episode of the Streamer Stories podcast. My guest today is one of the most awesome retro scousers out there, well, possibly the best of all. I've got MrSteJ here. Here he is. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks so much for being on, man. I love your stuff. I love your style. I love everything about you. You're so awesome. So.
It's really kind. It's weird being on camera. Like, not in the morning, because I stream in the morning, so as soon as I go now, it feels so strange just to be on it now, which is odd. Yeah, it's just odd. Like, trying to sort out all your equipment and everything just to kind of, start talking is really odd this time, because I stream in the morning because I'm full of energy.
Yeah.
Well, not at the moment because the summer's destroying me because of hay fever, but later on, I'm just all over the place because of I'm just tired. So if I'm not going to fall asleep halfway through this or anything like that, don't worry about it. But it's odd for me to be like just alive at this time, I guess.
Well, I appreciate you coming on at this time for me. I have catered the podcast around some of my guests as well. Like I've done like 3 a.m. podcasts for people in the States and stuff like that.
Wow,
like, it's Johnny Beard here.
Oh my God, you must be absolutely knackered. I saw someone do this. I won't name names, but I saw someone doing a podcast like really early for them.
Yeah.
And like the other person was in the States, and they just could not keep their eyes open, and they were asking questions. So, what was your favourite thing about it? What was your favourite thing? And the person's like, what?
Oh no!
And it was this, but this is a pre-recorded one that they put out, so they must have sat there and watched it afterwards and went, "Yeah, this is good.
Yeah,
put that out."
Yeah.
I thought this is amazing. The internet's incredible.
Oh, it is crazy, isn't it? I mean, again, we're talking about retro stuff in a bit, I'm sure, but like, just think about like the heckin' 90s. Like, how possible would it have been, man? It's so weird.
No.
I always remember on TV back in the day, it used like via satellite. There's like a 10-second delay. Yes, I do agree with that.
All those news reports and interviews and stuff from years ago, and it was all those delay. I've just been rewatching Stranger Things, and the most great thing about that is because it's like made when there's set where there's no mobile phones and everything like that. It's all really interesting. But like, imagine that set now, it'd be rubbish.
Oh, yeah.
The monster's over here. Oh, good. So, that's it.
Yeah.
The kids just be able to call each other on mobile phones, although they have some kind of phones, but like an iPhone where you can message and things.
Oh, there's that horror film, isn't there? The plot twist. The callers come inside your house. What I know is WhatsApp.
Yeah, we've got cameras up there,
Oh, yeah.
There's a Ring doorbell right in there.
Yeah, motion sensors, everything. Yeah, goodness.
Oh, it'd be horrible.
Oh. Steve, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you for coming on. I appreciate it so much. So can you tell everyone, however, who doesn't know who you are, what type of content you do, where we can find you, socials, and just introduce yourself, basically.
It's so strange. It feels like I've just been raided when you go into that raid mode. And you go, hello, my name is Stephen. I'm a retro streamer based in Liverpool, the UK. I play mostly 80s and 90s retro games, but I also collect a load of nostalgia crap, as you can see behind me. There's pretty much what I say every day on Twitch, because you kind of have to have that kind of elevator pitch, don't you, ahead of you?
Yeah, and it's weird when you raid someone who doesn't say it.
Thanks for the raid. Or doesn't even say thanks for the raid.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Twitch etiquette.
Twitch etiquette,
yeah. But yeah, you play a lot of games from the 90s and the 80s, don't you? And so was that? I mean, we'll this basically, in a weird way, I'm asking the question I'm going to ask at the beginning, which is, where did it start? Did it start in the 80s? What was your first memories of playing games?
I was born in 1981, so I've got a lot of memories of growing up playing very early stuff. Like, my first memory probably was playing some version of the Pong paddle game, not the original thing, but one that my mum and dad had just bought, like a knockoff one somewhere. Both of you hold a little console with a little controller, and you just move a little line on the screen. And this one's tennis, this one's baseball. They're all the same, just different, heights of the lines or whatever like that. And that's probably my first memory, but very fleeting. My first proper memory is when I got an Atari 2600. Like, that was my first thing I had, where it was kind of thrust upon me as a kid. It's like, here you are, this is a game thing that you can have. And I didn't have any game things like that, so I was like, okay, this is what I play with. And that's where I started playing the likes of Centipede and Dig Dug and all those. I didn't know arcades existed.
Right.
So I didn't know those games were arcades. So when I thought of Dig Dug and and Centipede and Space Invaders and all that, I thought of those as Atari 2600 games playing on a black and white TV. Back in it makes me sound so old when I say that, but my first TV was a black and white one. Yeah, I was amazed when I got a colour, so I could play the Atari 2600 on a colour TV, and suddenly those little blocks went from black and white to like yellow or something. I was like, wow. But yeah, that was my first memory, really, Atari 2600.
That's awesome.
I absolutely loved it.
You may have gone earlier, and that doesn't make you feel even older, and I'm sorry, but you may have gone earlier. Like, I don't think I've had someone on the podcast, so if I go, oh, yeah, start with Pong, I think that might be the first, and I'm sorry if that's
No, it's all right. I'm so used to being on Twitch now where I've heard people say, my first game I've played, that we Final Fantasy 9 or something. You're like, what?
I've had people on the podcast say, oh, yeah, I started off with the GameCube. I'm like, oh.
I know, and the way you say it was this little box with it had a handle on it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was like, oh God!
My sweet summer child.
Just kill me now. Just may as well bury me now.
Well, you just done a video. I had a little look on your YouTube. You just done a video about am I too old for video games, haven't you? So,
yes, yeah, they did that a while ago. It was kind of like it was in response to a lot of YouTubers this year quitting.
Yes.
And I saw a lot of this, and I was like, "Oh, this is quite interesting." But all of them had this thing in like every one of them was really young, and I was like, they're all quitting as if they're like, "Yeah, I've done it now. I'm successful." And I'm sitting, I'm 43, and I'm like, am I too old? Should I give this up years ago? And I just kind of like made a kind of video essay around it, and basically resulting with no, everyone's version of success is different. Theirs is different than say ours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to put that up there.
Well, it was again being slightly older as well. I'm 35. I remember my parents saying, "Oh, you'll grow out of it." You might have been maybe of a similar vein. And then I'm finding that people of the previous generation didn't get that. But then you just mentioned that now about maybe people even younger than that, kind of saying, "Oh, I'm done with that. Completed it, mate."
Yeah, I think they get to a certain number or something, or they get a certain amount of money, or they build a company or something like that, and they feel like, okay, I just want to move on and do something else. And maybe they had a lot of success earlier on, and you could probably compare that to a lot of things that we've done, like maybe early on with another job and we've moved from job to job. But because for them, like having YouTube success or Twitch success or whatever, it's kind of a different path to the way like a lot of us are on. Definitely the way I'm on with a retro gaming path. It's very different to like what I suppose they'd be on.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Fascinating. So Atari, that was your pretty much your first proper console, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Where did you go from there? What games did you play?
So haven't played that for ages, and like having great memories of playing Centipede with my dad at the time, because like that was the only time he was interested in games. Because I don't know about you, but like my parent, the last game he ever played was Duck Hunt on the NES. So there's no way, like he's not dead, by the way. I'm making it sound like he's died. He's not. He's all right. But he's not like he's going to pick up Grand Theft Auto or something like that. I mean, he's not going to go from Duck Hunt to Grand Theft Auto. It's just it didn't stay with it that long. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I have fond memories really of Atari because he was really good at Centipede, and he was letting everybody know, like, I am the best in this house at Centipede. And I've always got those memories like, oh, he was good. He'd be rubbish now, to be honest, if he hasn't played it for years, and whatever. But back then, that's like a big memory for me. But from there, we got a Spectrum ZX Plus 2 for a while, which was like, I suppose, like late 80s, I guess. That would be when we got that. And that was an amazing, because it was basically a computer at that point. Like, I'd never had anything like that. You can play tapes and, all that. You use it as a musical device. You can actually play it, cassettes on there. And a big, revelation for me from getting the Specky was the fact you could copy tapes off people, like games. I remember being in the schoolyard as a kid and someone telling me that, saying, you could just copy games. Because I was asking to borrow a game off someone. And he went, what do you mean, copy? He went, have you got a twin deck cassette player? And I was like, yeah. He went, well, here's a game. Go home, just copy it. And I was like, what?
It's mental, isn't it?
What? I can copy. And suddenly I had like all the games then, and it was just incredible. But not like you can play them instantly, because they took about half an hour to load and stuff. But I absolutely love the Spectrum still. But that was a kind of a fleeting one as well. And I went from there then to, I suppose my most important console for me was the NES, the NES, because that was the first console I ever asked for. Right. Where the others were just kind of given to me at Christmas because I was too young to kind of know what I wanted. But that was the first one I saw. I remember being in a mate's and seeing someone playing Super Mario Brothers, and I thought it was the best thing I'd ever seen in my life. And then I was like, Mom, I want it, and I got it for Christmas and with Turtles. So probably like the start of the 90s, I guess. The Turtles packing, and I feel like that console changed my life because it was the first time I have games where I could also swap with friends as well. Yeah. Where before I could just, I was just asking, can I have a taped copy? Then I had games I could kind of like swap with a friend, and it kind of made the whole experience social. And there's so many moments which are just kind of like cringy when I look back on, but also kind of magical. Like I remember the first time I saw. Like I don't know where you are with your gaming history, but did you ever have a NES? Did you ever Did you ever play one? So wow. So for me, I remember seeing the first time I ever saw Super Mario Bros. 3, which is an incredible game and achievement. I went round to a friend who lived across the road, and he was like, "You got to see this." And then I saw Mario fly, and it was just like, what? Yeah. And I'd never, it was just like, it was just one of those magical moments like back then. And I just don't know. It's mad maybe because it's just like a little thing to think of. Like I can't imagine being that wowed anymore by games because games have become so photorealistic that you almost expect it to kind of look real or feel real or have good AI or good music. You just go, oh, it's incremental differences now. Like the way like mobile phones are, they don't kind of like surprise you anymore. It's just incremental change. But back then, everything you saw was it was a massive change, and it was just like what? Yeah. So yeah, the NES for me was just hands down like the start of my kind of gaming journey, I guess, properly, like a social way. It was very magical.
I can imagine. I started in like the mid '90s, late '90s, and there was the transition of 2D to 3D for me. Like that was probably again similar feelings in terms of you will never get that again. I don't think
yeah, that's a good point. So what did you start with then at that point? I
started with the Mega Drive and then went to the PS1.
Nice.
Just again like loading up like Crash Bandicoot, Rage Racer, Resident Evil 1. Like what's this? This graphics will never get better than this. Type of thing.
It's a really good time to kind of grow up with music, with gaming as well, because like that's when gaming started to mature. Yeah. Like in the 80s or being at school, if you were a gamer, you were seen as like a bit of a nerd. Yes. It wasn't a cool thing. And then the likes of like Wipeout and that came out on the PlayStation and made gaming cool and kind of aimed at like proper teenagers and stuff. I know you were doing it with the Mega Drive and that, but I think it's like as soon as PlayStation came out, it felt like that was cool to have a PlayStation at that point. It's a really good time.
It was, but it still was like nerdy as well. I think, I still remember talking to friends about games, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" I was like,
"Oh, really?"
Just for me, type of thing. Yeah. I remember being Final Fantasy 7, and then no one cared.
I think when you're talking about Final Fantasy 7, it's like it's a hard one to. I don't play Final Fantasy at all because I'm overwhelmed by it. At some point, I'm going to tackle it in my life. But I look at 7 and go, I've got to play the 6 before it. Oh. And then you see someone play it, and it's like, oh, there's 4 discs or 3 discs or whatever. And you're like, oh, it's so overwhelming. But like you show someone Wipeout or Tekken, they instantly get it. Those games are closer to arcade games.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7's not.
No.
It's time investment in it.
It is, yeah. No, I feel that way about like The Witcher. Like The Witcher 3.
Yes.
I'm like, oh man, how many hours? 200 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, I've beaten Skyrim, but like for me, I'm like, The Witcher's just.
Do you think like I think the Skyrim's the last big game that a lot of us have said, yeah, we'll beat, because I can say that I go, oh, I beat Skyrim. I spent loads of hours in that, and no other game after that I don't think I've spent as much time in.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. Yeah.
I kind of wish I had time to play The Witcher and Fallout 4 and these massive games that are coming out. But I look at them and go, oh, there's so much of a time investment.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I have that conversation. I mean, it's one of the podcast questions I'm going to ask shortly is that. But, like, it's for me, it's like it's a commitment. But equally, in the same breath, it's the same reason why I wouldn't play, like, Animal Crossing. I'm like, it's a commitment. Or fun. Yeah. And I'm like, if I'm going to start, I'm going to have to get hooked in, and I haven't got time for that.
Yeah, and I always wonder with that, because I've never played those, like Animal Crossing, but I like the idea of them because they're a bit more casual.
Yeah.
But I always wonder, are they casual? Are they casual enough that you can play a bit of it and then leave it a week? Or do you leave it a week and come back and go, I have no idea what's going on?
I mean, with Animal Crossing, your villagers that you're in the town with will be like, oh, I haven't seen you, and they'll say 8 days, because it's got like in like red writing.
Oh, so guilt trips you.
Yeah, you're like, no, I'm sorry, I abandoned you. You know,
I would love it, like if you came back to your island after like a month, and just like, everyone's not talking to you. It's a bit weird, and someone just says, "There's been a murder." Something crazy's been on. It's like, we can't talk to you. We've been told. You know, I'd love that if something crazy like that. It's not going to happen in a Nintendo game or whatever, but you know, that would be cool. Like, you go away for a while, come back, and something crazy's happened.
Oh, we need to get that Animal Killing or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be great. Just like a Columbo game or something where you're Columbo and you come back in after months and you've got to solve a new case that's happened. I don't know. Just feels like that'll be something that compels you to want to take some time off, so you can come back and you get this new amazing experience.
That just reminds me. I know we're deviating, but like honestly, I saw this really great idea like about, I don't know, like 7-8 years ago on like Reddit or something. I don't know. And it was talk about like a Jurassic Park game, and it's saying you've got two choices of this Jurassic Park game. It's basically a park builder, and you can either build like the best Jurassic Park of all time or like a really shit park, and then then the credits roll, and then boom, part 2, all the dinosaurs have escaped. Crack on. And like if you built it, they just really high, secure, insanely good park, then the second half of the game gets maybe a bit shit. But if you built this rubbish park, it's going to be like expert mode, basically.
That's what you want, isn't it? Because no one wants to see a Jurassic Park where it functions. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Just go and see that movie. I saw loads of dinosaurs, and then at Bent Glass, it just ended.
Yeah,
it would be rubbish, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We kind of want it to fail and people to die. What's wrong with us?
Went to the cafe, ordered had a glass of Oasis with hamburger, and went home.
Nice, sounds alright. Just watching someone go in the zoo. Yeah. That's basically what it is.
Oh, that's so funny. But yeah. Anyway, sorry.
It's all right. That's good. I like it.
Love that. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned some fantastic stories about like family with your dad and stuff like that, and you mentioned some with friends as well. So, is there any multiplayer games you played maybe growing up?
Oh, weirdly enough, because I got two brothers, and it was odd because we never really played that many games together. We'd all kind of end up having our own consoles. I'd have when my youngest was growing up, he then got a NES, where I got Super Nintendo, and then my brother got like the Sega one. It was kind of like that, but we never really crossed paths that much. Like, they were into football. I've never been into football, so I've never got it. So they want to play football games and playing all the FIFAs and all that come out. I was into Street Fighter and things like that, and they'd never play me because I knew all the moves, and they didn't, because it was my console. I learned everything, and I didn't play them because as soon as I play a football game, they just score 20-0 or something like that. And I was never into it anyway. So I kind of, with those kind of games, not really. I didn't really play that much multiplayer apart from some fighting games and stuff. Not really. No, I can't even think of anything that we actually really played. Maybe Gauntlet 2 on the NES. We played. I remember this memory of me and one of my brothers playing through Gauntlet 2 on a NES, which is basically a top-down dungeon crawler, and we were trying to beat it, and I don't know if it is actually beatable, because we were like on a level 100, and we were like, oh great, and then my brother came in and switched it off on us, for the laugh, and I was like, oh, we've just been here all day. So memories like that, multiplayer in house, not the greatest memories, to be honest. But yeah, the other one, Mario Kart on Super Nintendo, that was a good one. As soon as we got that, it was like loads of fun and things like that on there. But no, loads of memories more of playing on my own, really, growing up. I like my own space. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you with that? Sorry, like, what about you with multiplayer games? I'm trying to think of any voice that come to mind.
I played like Street of Rage with my sisters actually.
Classic.
That was probably the one I played the most. Played a little bit of Sonic, but like Sonic and Tails and Sonic 2 wasn't quite the same, was it?
No.
So yeah, there's not a lot really, to be honest with you. There's mostly single player, but there was some once in a blue moon. There was
you gonna go with the Street of Rage. They get around to friends who we just play through Street of Rage over and over again, just chatting about normal stuff, and just and then have that in the background as if it wasn't even there. You just complete it and then you start again, that kind of thing. And even a lot of multiplayers actually on the Mega Drive. Yeah, trying to think what the other one was. But what's the other one on Mega Games 2? You've got Street of Rage. You know what? I've got it here.
There we go. Happy days.
It's somewhere here. Oh, it is. It's convenient, but it's not. It's like behind there. But it's you've got
Mega
Shinobi.
Games was
Golden Axe. Golden
nice.
Axe. Yeah, Golden Axe, Shinobi, and Street of Rage was on that.
Well,
which was the best
My
one.
first game was the Mega Games collection. Back in, I played it in 1998. It was the last one, and it had 6 games. It was Sega Soccer at the time, but it was World Cup Italia 90, wasn't it? Revenge of Shinobi, Streets of Rage, Sonic 1. Damn it, it's gone now. Super Monaco GP and Columns.
Columns on there. I think that's like a collector, because I think that's like Mega Games 1 and 2 together, possibly.
Oh.
Like that with that 6 one, yeah, that's pretty good. I have to get a copy of that at some point.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a copy of it.
Are you a hoarder in the same way I am? Do you collect games as well, and collect anything?
Mate,
No.
Your collection is far superior to mine. I bow down to your collection. I've got about 50 odd Mega Drive games, and I'm moving slowly to PS1. Yeah.
Wow,
It's
that's a
all
lot.
downstairs.
I've got like hardly. Well, I've got some PlayStation 1 games, but mostly it's all 8 and 16-bit. Like I want to kind of grab. It's just getting really expensive now to collect. That's the thing.
It's
you know, and I collect kind of rubbish ones, cheap ones. Like I'm trying to get hold of the second and third Super Nintendo Star Wars games, but they're a little bit out of my price range. I try and stick to about like 20 quid, 10 quid, and they're going a bit over. And it's just like every time if you wait for a bit, there's going to be a bit more and a bit more, and before you know it, you're paying like £50 for just a cart.
Yes, yeah,
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
The most I've spent on my collection is probably Gunstar Heroes. I got that on offer, would you believe? Because it normally runs for around. I mean, it's hard to find a copy of it now, to be honest.
Yeah.
In the PAL region, but if I do say it ranges from like 120 to 150, but I got it for 80. I'm like, I'm so happy I got it for 80 because as soon as I bought it, I hadn't seen it for months afterwards.
Yeah, I haven't got that. I've never actually played it. I've seen it, and I want to play it at some point. But and yeah, I'd love to get a copy of that at some point. But I'm just thinking now, because I use like real hardware, that I go, I kind of want to get a copy. But as soon as you hear it's like 80 quid or 120 quid, you're like,
that's a
I'll wait for a bit, you know.
Yeah.
And then you wait, and it's gonna be worse, you know.
Yeah, goodness me, it is sad, isn't it? It's ridiculous. Okay, so like in terms of like we'll kind of go deviate that way because we kind of half answered it, but let's continue to talk about it then. So in terms of like what you're playing at the moment, and what is your like time in terms of like spending in terms of playing games for content versus playing games offline for like leisure? What's your balance?
I'm trying to fit more time into playing games outside of streams, because I think that's really good for like you mentally, you know. So outside the stream, when I can, I'm playing through the first Ori in the Blind Forest. Ori in the Blind Forest, I think this one's called that.
Game. Yeah.
It's it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm trying, because my favorite kind of genre of modern games, I guess, is kind of retro inspired anyway. Yeah. But like Metroidvania and roguelikes, they're kind of ones you can just jump in and play a little bit of.
Yeah.
So I've just got a big list of those I want to kind of get through. But I'm also playing. I've got an arcade 1-up machine, and through our Discord we do this thing every couple of months called Arcade Classics Club, where we pick a classic arcade game and we learn it and help each other out. Not really competitive, although it does get a little bit. But I'm also playing. So these couple of months we're playing Bomb Jack. So we've been playing that quite a bit. So those two are outside the stream, but I know I've got to try and put more time into like, you know, playing more games that are outside the stream. But on the stream, I'm playing The Lion King on the Mega Drive, which is horrible. It's oh my god, man, it's horrible. Yeah, it's first stream I did of it, I was like, this isn't as bad as what people say. Yeah, sure, it's brutal. It's all right, and I was getting quite far. And then the next stream, I feel like I think the games listen to you. I think that honestly, I think it's stupid. I know it sounds stupid, but I think it does. He goes, "Oh, you think it was all right, do you?" And then suddenly, even the bits I thought this was all right, it was just everything was challenging. Everything was, and I was going crazy. And all I could think in my head is like, I'm going to be playing this for the rest of the year, because I thought I got far, and then someone said, "You're about halfway," and I was like, "What?" What?
Oh no! Yeah, and you're playing on hardware as well, aren't you? So
no, it's normal mode. Normal mode.
But you're playing on original, like.
Oh yes. Sorry for hard mode. Yeah, original. So I know everyone else. Well, mostly everyone else I know who's played this plays the new version of it with save states and all that. Yes. Me personally, totally fine. Everyone do save states. Me, I know. I just want to beat that cartridge so I can put it on the shelf and go, I beat that game. Yeah. It's just a me thing. Other people can play it, because I always think like people are going to say, "Oh, you know, you're telling me I can't use save states. I'm totally happy if you want to see the game, but it's just I want to play it as what was intended to be played like back in the day. Even though it's stupid because they put a lot of parts in that game designed to kind of get more money out of you when you rented it out of Blockbuster or whatever. But yeah, it's evil. So I'm playing that, and I'm also starting tomorrow. Well, I got a copy of that Nintendo World Championships NES edition.
Oh,
so I'm playing that.
Posted about that. Yeah.
So I don't normally play modern games, but like I'm trying to have like a day of the week where I play something a bit slightly modern, like retro inspired modern. So that's why I play a Shovel Knight is something I've been playing recently as well, which is beautiful. But yeah, I'm playing that tomorrow. I can't wait. I really can't wait because it just looks really good. I mean, I put it on just to have a few goes, but I want to go. It's completely fresh tomorrow, really. But yeah, that's what I'm playing at the moment. Nice. All those things.
Quite eclectic, despite
yeah.
You mentioning about Lion King though just reminds me of when I played Aladdin on the Mega Drive.
Oh, so good.
I mean, I played it a lot as a kid, but I never beat it. And I was like, right, okay, because I do on my channel I do Retro Sundays, so and I asked chat to choose the next game on a poll.
Oh, nice.
So then we always know what we're playing the week later. And Aladdin came up, and it won. And it was like, right, finally, I'm going to beat Aladdin. Finally, get that chip off my shoulder and finally do it. Because I always have experience playing Aladdin going, this game's not that bad. It's a little bit difficult, but it's not that bad. But it just takes a turn.
Oh, yeah, it does. The carpet level, or the one in the lava level, you're going to jump over that. Oh, my God. I played it recently. I did the same thing. I was like, when I was a kid, I played a bit of it. I was like, oh, yeah, it'll be all right. And it's just like, oh, my God, it ramps up crazy there.
It just goes like... And yeah, I was save stating like mad because because I'm of the mindset of like you kind of referred to. It's like I'm playing this to try and be entertaining, and I want it to be progressive, so I want people to see how it ends and stuff like that. But and so I'm like in back of my head, I'm like, how do I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna save state here, guys. I'm so sorry.
So do you have a rule with your save states? Like you only allowed to you always have to save state at the start of the level, or do you just like constantly save state?
That's a good question. I tend to do a save state. Well, I don't tend to save state until I get into difficulty, and then I start thinking about it. And then I will save state, like you said, kind of start the level, and then restart from the start of the level. And then if it starts to get a bit too difficult, then I go, okay, maybe this chunk of the game. I've done that now. I've cleared that section. I'm going to save from there, and then try that next section over and over and over again. I don't kind of like do the save scumming, so to speak,
Oh yeah, because I'll be honest, because your heart just drops when you get to a moment like that, which is pretty far in the game, and you're losing all your lives, and then it says game over, and you've got to start right from the beginning. Yeah. And it's just like those moments, you're just like, I wish I could, but yeah, I can't because I'm using the original hardware.
So much for that, yeah. Fair play to you.
But it was good. You've got you're used to that, and you're completely fine with it, and you want to see the game through, and then move on to the next game. Which is great.
Yeah, that's funny, isn't it? Funny. Okay, so I mean, you've played a lot of games. Let's be honest, we know that, don't we? So, and we're talking about some hard games. Actually, before I ask, what is that the hardest game you've played, or is there anything else?
Lion King. No, I don't think it is. Because I think I'll end up beating it eventually. Because I feel like a lot of these games, especially like the ones that are designed to be a bit tough. I mean, a lot of 8-bit ones, the worst, to be honest. Yeah. The design's just because they're quite short. Because of how much you can just put on the actual card, so they're designed to be really tough, and you got to learn the rhythm of the game, and that's why you see like people become speedrunners because they've had to do that just to beat the game anyway. So when I'm thinking back of the hardest games I've ever played, and not beaten, I've got a document called Unfinished Business, which one games I have to go back to, and that's the likes of Ninja Gaiden and Battletoads. And all the games which I've never really been into, like Doom, and I'm the minority in the world for that. Just never really. I'm not good at first-person shooters. I just don't know what it is. It just doesn't work for me. But I need to go back to them because a lot of people like, you gotta play this. It's one of the best games I've made. Okay, I'll do it. Okay. But yeah, the hardest games are those ones. Alf was pretty bad on the Master System, and maybe So if you're looking for a fun game to play on your Retro Sundays, boot up Alf on the Master System. Don't look up a manual or anything like that, and to see how far you can get. I will say that one little tip is make sure you pick up the salami so you can beat the rats in the basement. Beat the bats in the basement. So that kind of game.
Never heard of that,
Oh, it's
But
so
I need
it's
to build my Master System collection of Retro Sundays anyway, so I'm onto that.
yeah. Don't try and buy it because it's like $1,000. So it's
Jesus.
stupid. It just makes you think like back in the day, there must have been some parents going into like one of the game shop and go, "Wow, you love Alf? I'll buy him that game."
Yeah.
And it's just like, just imagine getting that game, and it's ridiculous. It's so bad. But also, I think there's a thing of like the longer you play a game, the more you get that kind of Stockholm syndrome where you like start loving it because it's so janky.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I had that with Wayne's World and on the NES, which was a terrible game. And you play, and you just want to see it through, and then you spend all this time learning the rhythms of the game and all the jankiness and getting past it, and then you get to the end, and it's literally just one screen that says "Well done" with Wayne going like that, which is literally the same screen you get on the intro, but they just change the text, and it lasts like 2 seconds, and it goes back to the intro, and you're like, oh, I've just went through the whole thing because you don't expect anyone to beat you. That's probably what it is. They're not going to put the best content at the end of the game when no one's ever going to see it. But that's I live for that. I don't know why. It's terrible.
That's amazing.
But I also love it.
I don't know if you're familiar with a YouTube person called Sean Shaunson. Shout out to Sean Shaunson. He's been on my podcast. Shout out to Sean Shaunson, lovely guy. He does basically PlayStation 1 obscure and Japanese, obscure or Japanese PlayStation 1 games, and he reviews them. And for some of the games he covers on that channel, there's a company called Cryo Entertainment, I think they were called, and they produce some of the worst games ever. And like he plays them, and he talked about having like a newfound respect because he persevered going through this
all the way through them. Oh my word, I love it.
It's so funny to see him get so frustrated with these really obscure, terrible games.
I love it because someone has to. Yeah. So someone must, because the thing about it, back in the day, I always think this: someone must have got that game for their birthday, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like for me, my birthday's in June. So back in the day, I got one game for my birthday, and then I had to wait for Christmas for the next game. So however janky that was, you had to live with it.
Yeah.
And you learn to love it. So loads of games I played then, which other people would think, oh, it's janky, but I loved it and ended up being like one of my favorite games. So I feel like when I was playing Alf, for example, I was saying that on the streams. Like someone must have got that for their birthday or Christmas. So I'm gonna do them a solid. I'm gonna beat you for them.
This is for you.
This is for you.
That's so good.
He probably threw it away like instantly and just read a comic or something, But
yeah, he probably did. But that's such a good point, though, and I hate to do the whole kids these days, but it's so true. Like you get free games on like Epic Games.
Oh God, you're right. Yeah,
Steam games like 89p and stuff like that. Whereas back in those days, you got one game. It was like 20 to 50 quid, and that was all you had. That was your pocket money or your birthday, and that's it.
I mean, I love retro. I love nostalgia. I live in 80s and 90s nostalgia. That's my thing. But my God, like if you would have told a young me years ago that years later you're just gonna get free games every day through like Epic and all on Steam, you can get something called like an Ambernick or whatever, and you can fill it with games and all. You would have been like, "What? That is amazing!" Yeah. Like we do not know how good we've got it right now. It's incredible.
That's so true.
Like you don't even need to buy games if you have got no money. There's games free pretty much every day somewhere.
Yeah. It's so true. As someone that plays a lot of retro games, Steve, talking about kind of a more modern thing, I suppose, is the achievements / trophies, isn't it? Is that something that you do? Do you collect achievements and trophies?
I would love it if because there's a thing called retro achievements.
Yes, there is.
And I'd love to do that, but because I use real hardware, I can't. And I'd love them to be able to patch that into somehow doing it with real hardware. And I know there's some way of doing it. But I need like a legit, easy way of doing that because I'm very tempted to do it the other way. But I'm like, so my achievement for me is just like beating the game, so I can put it on a list. I beat that one this year because I'm trying to do this thing called GG 100. We came up with this year, try and beat 100 games, and I'm on like 56.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I feel like I'm behind to be honest at the moment because it's been taking too long with harder games. Yeah, that's my only achievement, really. I'd love to get into all the other stuff. Cause I wish the Switch would have them. I wish because that's the only other console I ever play. I don't have a PlayStation 5 or the Xbox, whatever it's called nowadays. I don't have those, so I wish Nintendo did it because then I'd be all over it. But
Why? I do wonder why they don't do it. They are missing a trick.
They're just catching up. They're catching up. In about 10 years, they'll do it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll do it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's fair. So if you were stuck on a remote island, this will be very interesting for yourself. If you were stuck on a remote island, and on that island you stuck, I'm sorry, you're stuck on the island now, mate. I'm very sorry. Not getting off it. You can only have 3 games with you on that island.
Have they got a console to plug in? I've got electricity and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going. Okay, fine.
I know you play a lot of retro OG hardware and stuff, but
Yo.
you can play online. You can play with mods if you wanted to as well. If you wanted to, what would those 3 games be and why?
I instantly have to go Super Mario World because it's one of my favorite games of all time, and it's one I can just. I always, every time I play it, I find something different, and I feel like it's just like a warm hug to me. It's just one of the best games I've made. A perfect 10 of a game. There's so much to it. So I definitely have to do that because also it's like it's got so many levels I get lost in it. Second one, God, you know what I answered? I answered this question like before Christmas. Someone else asked me,
All right, yeah.
but I'm trying to give a different answer, and I failed so far because it's just a game. It goes exactly. Do you know what I'm going to say though? I don't think I said this. I would say Final Fantasy VII because it might actually make me do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might actually do it. And because I am jealous when I see other people play those games and know everything about them, and I think I'm more jealous because they know the music. Because every time I hear the music, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And they talk about going to these concerts and all this, and I'm like, oh my god, the music's incredible. And I feel like I'd be a cheat if I went to one of the concerts and be like, it's that music from that that bit, isn't it? It's really, you know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Just being like, I love this bit when you press select on the menu, and I'm like, what? You know what I mean? But I love that you've got great music in those games, but I feel like such a fraud to be able to sit there and listen to it. And so I feel like I want to get into those games for that reason. So maybe that would work on a music level, but also to push me into playing that game or that series. And I think that's probably the most accessible one, or the most...
Yes.
The one that everyone says is like the one that kind of got everyone hooked into it. I know everyone would say the early ones or late ones, but I think that's the one I'd like to try.
Yeah.
And third, my favourite game of all time, and which I haven't played in ages. So I'd be like, if I'm stuck on the island now, I think I'd go through that as Shadowrun on the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
If you know that, it's like a cyberpunk sci-fi-ish RPG, and it's one game I kind of want to own, but also don't want to own because it'll be always something I chase. You know, I remember playing it as a kid. It was a proper escapism when I lived in a room with 2 brothers, and then when we had headphones on, and it was just like I was somewhere else. You know, it was like an interactive, beautiful book of a world. So I'd take that because it's very dear to me, and I haven't played it in a long time.
Wow, interesting. That's a great list. I enjoyed that. Yeah, it was most people tend to obviously go. Some people go, I've never played Final Fantasy 14, which is the MMO, the online one, isn't it? So I'll play that, or I might play. I might finally pick up that Animal Crossing because so
may as well.
Hours. Yeah.
So what would you pick then? Have you ever been asked this on your podcast before? They're going to have to take it around.
I've had my own episode, episode 9, if you want to check it out, everyone.
Okay.
What did I say? I think I said Final Fantasy. I'm going to say it now anyway. Final Fantasy 9 is my all-time favorite game. So Final Fantasy 9 has got to be up there. But then I think I put like maybe like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas might have to go on there because I think it's my favorite GTA game. And it's obviously quite sandboxy, isn't it? Then it gets so hard. It always gets hard to choose a third game.
That's a good reason actually for the sandboxy and the nature of Grand Theft Auto because you can just do what you want.
I think
for hours.
I don't think it did say this when I did my own episode. Is I'd actually choose. There's a mod of Resident Evil 2 called Biorand, which is so much fun, and it's a door randomizer. So you go through a door in a Resident Evil game, and you go out on a random door somewhere else, and that'll
that's cool.
And then items that you pick up are random, and then so you got to kind of it's kind of like the games just like complete like a puzzle and mess it all up, and then you got to solve the puzzle.
Is it you still able to beat it though?
Yeah.
Like somehow? Okay.
Yeah.
So it still works. Oh, those don't randomize each time you go through them. They'd always connect to that room.
If you have that particular seed, yes.
Yeah.
But you can
that's really cool.
Up and do it all over again. You know, so
wow.
That's why I do it that way. It'd be a different experience every time you play.
That's such a good idea.
It's so clever.
Well then.
Yeah. So there you go. I think that would be my top 3.
The 3. That's a good 3. Yeah.
So we talk about hard games, and you talk about not so good games. What is like maybe the worst game we've played? Is there? Is there something
Probably. Like I said before, the games I play that I consider the worst, I also end up loving them.
Yeah.
So like Beetlejuice on a NES. I don't know if you've ever played that. It's so bad. It's one of those ones where if you jump on like jump a little bit higher, and then you can't see the screen underneath, and then you fall, you will die because it doesn't. The game doesn't know there's ground there because you've jumped too high.
Oh man.
And it's just like I hate it, but also learn to love it. And it's one of those ones where you get to the end again, like Wayne's World, go through this whole ordeal, and it's really tough. And you go through this end door, and then you just Beetlejuice going, well done, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh. So all those are terrible, but I also love them. So like, I find it really hard to hate something.
Yeah.
Like I used to not like Sonic growing up because I was into the marketing. I basically got targeted with the marketing as a kid, like Sonic versus Mario, and I was definitely on the Nintendo side.
Yeah.
But this year, I started playing all the Sonic games for the first time properly, and ended up loving Sonic 2 on the Mega Drive. I thought it was incredible. And the Master System Sonic games, I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Not so much Sonic 1, but on the Mega Drive, didn't really much like that one. Or Sonic 3, couldn't really get into it that much. I thought it was alright. I've only played the first half of it, I guess. But the Master System Sonic games are really fun.
Interesting. I played the first Master System Sonic, not the others.
Worth doing. Sonic Chaos, that one's like really casual for a Sonic game. I really enjoyed that. Like quite short as well. But yeah, good.
Interesting. So, I mean, I'm going to ask the question as stupidly blunt as I am. Do you have any video game collectibles?
It's I have. Do you know what? It's weird because I collect games, but I also collect toys and everything. So everything's kind of like when I think of the stuff I collect, I'm constant. It's all become. This thing called. You remember the broom cupboard? Do you ever remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you were like too young for it or whatever now, but it's become that where I've just got this amalgamation of stuff, which I love being around because I feel like it gives me a positive energy where other people think it's too chaotic. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the chaos of it. But video game collectibles, I stumble when people ask me, "Oh, what's the most expensive thing you've got?" or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know. I never think of it like that. And I've just got loads of toys.
Yeah.
So I think of it like that. So the video games and things like that. I don't know. Like I got that special edition Nintendo thing today, and I suppose that's a collectible in a way. But nothing that jumps out at me that says this is a collectible I can think of. Only stuff you can see in the behind me, which is mostly just games and Thundercat toys. And
do you have like a favourite? You know, just one that like resonates you with the most for maybe nostalgic reasons or anything like that, maybe.
Like gaming wise, I've got a copy of Metal Gear Solid at the back there. I don't know why that just came to mind, but I remember like when I moved out when I was really young. And I remember playing on the PlayStation pretty much the first time, and it was a mate I was living with, and he had a bunch of games, and I was like, you know what, I'm in all day, I'll pick a game, and he had Metal Gear Solid. I'd never really heard of it, and it just took me away. I thought it was the most incredible experience ever. So I became a bit of a weird, like it's odd compared to all the retro stuff I'm into. I've got a mad soft spot for Metal Gear Solid and all that series. So when I look at that, I kind of like, I think everything we own, there's a reason why we picked it up and we kind of have it around us, you know? Yeah. And I think everything we have has that kind of weird emotional connection with us. So you can pick anything up and go, oh, that's the best for this reason. And then I'll feel guilty because like, what about this thing? What about this giant gremlin here? You know what I mean? It's like everything around me's got like some kind of emotional energy, I guess. So it's like, it's hard to just go, what's your favourite?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I always love talking about like box art, especially back in those days, because that was the only way to kind of judge on how good you want to like be drawn to this game. Like, oh, the front and the back of this, but this looks like a good game. That's all you can judge it on, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, I missed that. I mean, I literally don't want to come across as being someone who's like, oh no, I miss all the old days at all, because I think it's amazing what we've got now.
Yeah.
But I do miss the physicality of things, like picking her up and not just being like, oh, I'm on the bus reading the manual and all that stuff, but I feel like gaming releases and maybe even movie releases, it gets to that point now where they're losing a bit of the kind of grandeur, you know what I mean? Like where you have like the midnight release of a game or whatever, and everyone's outside the shop, and I've done that a couple of times, and now it's just like the midnight release of a game, it just goes, there it is, it's just been unlocked, and you've already downloaded it. It's like, oh, I know one side of my brain's like, that's amazing that we can do that, and the other side it's like, oh, there's like loads of hype, which is kind of being lost now and converted somewhere else, you know? So I think box art is a big part of that. Yeah. You know, and same with the album art and like Spotify and things like that, you know, you don't really see it anymore.
Yeah, no, it's so true, and I think that's maybe again a reason why like vinyl's getting really popular again, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
that physical release thing, and it's a shame that we have to kind of rely on, as much as I'm so got so much love and respect for it, like things like limited run, like so grateful that we got something like limited run, which is trying to preserve that. But equally, it's like, why do we have to have that? That
No.
shouldn't be here.
It's kind of annoys me, to be honest. Every time like a new game comes out, I'm like, because Clock Tower is the new game that's coming out. I really want to get a copy of that. It's a fantastic game, and it hasn't been released to a Western audience properly, but there's ways you can play it. And it's getting a proper release through limited run. But as soon as they announced the game out, I was like, oh, can we just get a general physical version? And it's like, no, we've got to have a limited run one, and it's just so odd now. Now you've got to pay to get like a manual, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous, isn't it? Like, but people got used to that now, and they're just like used to paying it. I'm like, oh, you know, I just want to. Like, you open a Switch game now. I said this I put a video out earlier about me opening a Nintendo thing, and open the Switch game, and it's just there's like a vacuum or a void of nothingness, and it's almost comical the way there's like a little Switch game card and like nothing else. It's like, just give me a sheet of paper saying thanks for buying the game or how to do, you know, just give me something. But yeah, I do miss that. I wish that we can bring that back without having to, you know, pay premium for it. But I guess that's where the times are going.
Yeah, same. Yeah. So, I mean, again, interesting question for yourself have you done any mods? Where's mods in terms of your like spectrum, I suppose, of playing games? Is it non-existent or is it partially?
I did not go to PC at all. I've never had. Well, I never had a PC growing up. So I never went into that world. I dabbled a little bit later on and played a little bit of Unreal Tournament, but it was very fleeting. But I didn't even mess around with mods, didn't know what I was doing. I have friends who kind of later on who did stuff like that, but I just was never kind of that way inclined, I guess, with gaming-wise. But, you know, I'm interested in it, like in the sense of like where you can do stuff with retro gaming. You know, we can kind of mod games, and, you know, like when you just mentioned about Resident Evil before, that sounds cool. Even though I've never really played the Resident Evil games, I'm just like interested the way you can take an old game and you can make it new or have a new experiences with it. I love that. Yeah. Like, you can have game shufflers and all that stuff. I think that's really cool. Yeah. Like, all that stuff. I mean, I'm into the idea of somehow at some point getting involved in that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done those shufflers. I just did a Resident Evil shuffler. I played Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 on a shuffle.
Wow. That's a cool idea.
Every 30 seconds. And it's like, people are like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like,
I love the idea of that. And I've heard that you can. Well, I remember reading this. You could do it with like a bunch of games, but you can have like use channel points to be able to swap the game on the fly.
Oh.
And I think that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds really chaotic. Yeah, because you think I'm doing well here, and then someone just switches you into like the worst possible game or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, what? I think that sounds funny because it creates a completely new experience out of all these older games. It's just like, that's great. Yeah. I love that.
I've done a few shufflers like where I try to beat like 15 games. Like for my 2,000 follower stream, I tried to beat 15 games in 20 hours for 2,000. 20 hours, 2,000. And
wow.
There's some like platformers, so you'll literally be jumping in one platformer game, and then it'll cut to the other game, and because there's 15 in the shuffler, it won't come back to it for like maybe 20 minutes. It's like,
do you find yourself? Do you find yourself like knowing when it's going to stop, so change over, so you have to like go somewhere safe just before it switches over? Is that what you do, or do you just get lost in it?
You can put like a little timer saying 5, 4 if you want to. Or I mean, you can put down I want it to change every 30 seconds or whatever. But I didn't want. No. I put randomly between 30 and 60 seconds. Change it.
Oh, randomly? Yeah. You embrace the chaos. I love it. Yeah. That's brilliant. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I need to do that myself at some point. Yeah, I need to look into it. Yeah, it sounds so much fun.
It is. It's fun. I do enjoy doing it.
Did you say you did a 20-hour stream?
Yeah, 20-hour stream. Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, it was actually about 24, 25 hours because obviously I had to take breaks and stuff like that. So I paused it, but I had like a 20-hour timer and paused it. If I needed to take a break. Dressed up as Macho Man Randy Savage as well. So yeah.
Brilliant. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, so that was fun. Yeah.
Wow, so 20 hours, and when you say have a break, do you mean like 2 streams, or did you just have like a half an hour break in between?
Like I had needed a toilet break, so like 5-10 minute break. I had like a proper break, like about like 20-minute, half an hour break at one point.
Oh, and say you'll have a little nap or something, just like a little power nap.
No.
Oh my god, I don't know if it could go that long.
McDonald's Macho Man break.
Oh, that's brilliant. I don't know how you get. Oh god, I don't think you could go that long without just breaking down and crying.
My longest stream is 36 hours.
No way.
Yeah, I did that for charity.
That's without no sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you? You must have been sitting there like, what was that? What was? And seeing things the side of your brain.
Yeah.
You want Johnny? What? You must have been like that. 36 hours. Yeah. Oh my word! You must have been in a state afterwards.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Rest for a week after
that. So, this crazy hobby / job. I don't know if it is your job. That we have. How did it start for you? Like, how long have you been streaming for? How did you? Are you mostly Twitch streaming? You're not like live on YouTube or anything? Like, what was the beginning? What was the steps that led towards that decision?
Oh God!
Hit and go live?
So, I started off on YouTube. As I remember the first time I went live on YouTube. I was talking to my wife, and I think it was during around the COVID time, or just before that. No, before COVID it was. And I was like, you know what? I might just go live on YouTube and see what happens. Because before that, I was a musician on YouTube. I was using YouTube for musician tutorials and things like that. DIY musicians, helping musicians get the music out there and all that. And I thought I was going to go live. It'd be fun to see what happens if I went live. And I was scared. And I was talking to my wife, and we were both saying, if you're scared, maybe just do it and see what happens. Because sometimes when you're scared, it's like a David Bowie quote I always love. I always refer to is like sometimes you need to paddle out and so your feet just aren't about touching the ground. And I quite like that. And I always think, okay, if you're scared, maybe it's worth trying the risk and see what happens. And I went live, and I think maybe 3 people turned up, and it was quite fun. I was just going through people's music websites and checking them out and giving them ideas and stuff because at that point I was working in web dev, and I kind of got the bug. So I started doing a weekly stream, just talking to other musicians, for about a year, I think it was, and then COVID happened, and I was looking for because I was playing music as well and in a band and all that stuff, and I was trying to help other musicians out there, saying, we need to do something as musicians because you can't go out and play gigs and all that stuff. So what we can do, and I noticed on Twitch, there were a lot of musicians were going over there. Or doing stuff, and I was like, I'm going to try this Twitch thing out and see what happens. So I went over there when I started Twitch. As a musician, I was actually just playing ambient guitar stuff. Nice. Only streaming for an hour. And eventually, when I was doing that, I was like, I've got this massive game collection because I'm also a retro gamer and all that. And I was like, the odd time I'm going to play some games, and I got hooked playing games.
Yeah.
Because it's basically the DNA of Twitch, isn't it? And as soon as I started getting looking into the kind of all the stuff I needed to play games and all this stuff, I was like, oh, this is great because it's kind of forces you to want to play through a lot of the games that like we were talking about before about games you played as a kid but you never beat, like Aladdin. Yeah. It forces you to do that, and I was like, well, I used to collect a lot of games from GOG, Good Old Games, loads of point-and-click games, which I never had as a kid because I never had a PC. But from afar, going around to a friend's house, I was like, Monkey Island, that looks really good. And I thought, well, I'll play those games at the weekend when I was doing these streams. And just basically those streams started taking over the music thing. Because I was only streaming for an hour than the music thing, but I was really enjoying the games. And then that just became a thing then. And then 4 years in November, I think it is, I'll be streaming. That's what it is, yeah. I just became like a retro gamer.
Yeah.
Like that, randomly.
That's amazing.
It's odd.
That is crazy.
But yeah, to my balance and things, I still make videos on YouTube, but it's more about nostalgia and retro gaming and all that stuff now. I kind of changed it a little bit, which is quite tough to do. It still is, because a lot of my audience still on there are probably there for the music stuff. So I'm like, this is not about music, it's about me talking about Mario or something, which is a bit different. But yeah, it's just I don't stream on YouTube or anything like that. I don't double stream or what people do. I just stream on Twitch, and then I make videos on YouTube, basically.
Yeah, fantastic. So what was your first, what was the first game you played then? What was the first?
I think it was Phantasmagoria 2, which is it's a random game. Because I thought it would, because I was looking for the games, and I thought, what I find fun? And I thought, this is an FMV one with all actors in, and I thought, this would be fun to watch. It's like watching a movie. I didn't read up on it.
No.
I didn't know. at all. Didn't look up at the TOS,
no.
and then I was like, and I was worried when I was watching it because there's some scenes in that game where you're like, oh my god, and I'm luckily I had like what 2 people there who were just like lovely to be there. But I was just like freaking out. I'm like, I'm how to play this? Am I allowed to do this? So like, I'm gonna get banned it. But it turns out it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, in the context of the story and stuff, because it's a really dark game.
Yes.
But yeah, from there I played on like the Blade Runner games like years later, and the Monkey Island games and all those, and that was fun. But yeah, I did that for years. I played a lot of the first year I think played through all the point and click games, and then I moved on to all the stuff I really wanted to do, which was like the old consoles I loved, basically. Yeah.
I would have had 1,000 guesses at what your first game was going to be. I would.
It was random.
Never.
I didn't have a capture card for games at that point, so I was just playing everything from the computer.
Yeah.
So it was just like, you know, anything I can run a PC, I could play. So and because that's such a collection, I was like, I don't really want to play these in any other way because I've got the cart there. I feel weird. I want to play this cart. I want to play this. Yeah. So I just waited until I could afford to get a capture card, and then I did it that way.
I do get. It reminds me of when I played Outlast 2 on my stream, and minor spoilers. I won't say too much of the context around it, but there's a birth scene in Outlast 2.
Oh, is it really graphic?
Yeah.
Oh my word, is it?
And I was like, oh no! No! And I tried to get out of the game and to like because I went out of the game, it went full display.
Oh no, that's the worst. That's the worst. That's the worst. There's so many times like that. Like I played Phantasmagoria 1 years later, and it's like a domestic violence scene, and it comes out of nowhere, and I'm like. And I don't know how to react to those things. Because like, hey, okay, did it? So it's all singing a song over it, you know, to try and kind of dull it down or whatever. And you're just like, oh my god, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I wonder if like with games now, companies kind of know Twitch streamers or streamers in general are going to play them, so they kind of dumb it down a little bit. You know what I mean? And so it's safe to watch. I mean, although Outlast 2 is pretty kind of
it's out there.
It's only out in the last like 5-10 years or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just wondering if like would kind of like change it because they knew people would stream it and then they wouldn't stream it if things are too graphic.
Yeah.
You know.
It is. It's one of those like grey areas, isn't it? Like you're not supposed to have like nudity on a stream, but like it's a game. Like you play games on Twitch. Like I don't know.
I think that the general rule is that you're not, if it's in the game, you can't pause the game and go, let's have a look at this. Yeah. It's like if it's in the context of the game and all that, that's fine, but you can't draw attention to it and make it about the street. Yeah, that's it.
I think you're right there. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, have you got any like favorite memories, favorite streaming, favorite stream, favorite moments over your last? Do you know what? The first one that comes to mind is this year in January when I became partner, and I found that on stream. Which is the funniest thing is because we did this whole prediction thanks mate, and we did this whole prediction which was beforehand, not to do with partner, about like how many if it beat a game or whatever. And weirdly enough, I pressed the wrong button or whatever. I chose the wrong side, so everyone went mental and shouted like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you've done that!" And the points went to the wrong people. Oh.
And I was like, oh no. And I was like, for some reason, I was like, I'm feeling really good and everyone's going mad. And then I saw an email and it was emailed on your partner. And it's like, what? How can you have like the worst possible thing you could do? And then there's something like that. And then the chat became about that. So it was just like, I'm always going to remember the yin and yang of that moment. And someone sent me, I've got this cup on my thing. Literally, that's me at that moment of realizing I was partner. And all the emotions going through me, like what I've just done and what has just happened. It was like a really nice gesture, so that's going to remind me. But yeah, that moment comes to mind because that felt really nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Like, I suppose there'd be some people in chat. No, you don't change the question. Don't change.
Yeah, yeah,
no,
I did have that.
Yeah.
I did have that. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I'm clipping it or something. Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. Now, the points.
Yes.
I've done that loads of times. So I remember one time with the I remember ending a prediction early because my watches are Casio watches, so you have to like change the time manually. And it was the time zone data change, so I was like a bit hour behind everyone. and completely forgot about it. So I changed. I ended the prediction way too early than I should have done. And everyone was going nuts about that. I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. But yeah, it's because I'm just an idiot. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Right, okay. What advice then would you think about giving anyone that is thinking of picking up streaming? Then what tips and tricks have you? What mistakes I suppose have you made? If you class them as that,
it's crazy with the advice thing, is it? Because we're always going to get asked about streaming advice. Every streamer is.
Yeah.
And the advice is like always the same. They'll be consistent. Have a schedule and all that. And everyone goes, oh. But the reason that is the same advice because it's the good advice.
Yeah.
You got to have that advice. All the other things are always going to be kind of subjective to other people. So my thing is, for me personally, is don't treat your stream like a YouTube video. Because I have so many people come in and say, "Oh, just play the game," and I'm like, you can just go and watch a YouTube video of someone playing the game, and that's not what my stream is about. And I don't think that's the reason people go to our streams.
Yeah.
Because they could go to YouTube and watch a Let's Play or whatever. But so my advice is to just do your stream as if it isn't a YouTube video. I know people will say do a YouTube, put it in segments so you can put it on YouTube. That's a completely different matter. But I mean, treat your stream as something that's interactive.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's great tip. I mean, what I've started doing now is I've started to do multi-streaming. I've got YouTube and Twitch going at the same time. I used to have I always have a just chat section of my stream. Hey, we chat for about 30-40 minutes and then we play the game. I've started to cut that out now on YouTube. I will start my YouTube late. We're about to start the game now. Now I'll go live on
YouTube. Oh, that's interesting.
And I have noticed it's made a bit of a difference, actually.
Really?
It's weird.
So how do you manage two chats? Because that's the reason I don't do it. Because I always think, for me personally, I always feel as a viewer that I'd be like, if I was in the YouTube one and I'm seeing the other person talking to Twitch, I'd be like, oh, I feel like I'm not there. But I don't think it's easy to get someone over from one place to the other because they feel like that's their place.
Yeah.
So I always feel weird about that. So how would you kind of connect with both people, but also be okay, know that Twitch is okay with you talking to someone else and all that?
Yeah.
Because I just feel odd.
I mean, the rulings on that have now relaxed big time now. So Twitch and YouTube don't seem to mind that anymore. But yeah, it is weird. Because the way I've got it set up, it's not the best, by the way. But I've got my Twitch chat and my YouTube chat there, so I can keep an eye on them both. But it's so funny. I'll get someone on YouTube going, "Who are you talking to?"
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I always think that's weird. So you have to say, oh. Bobby, I don't want to say weird things. Bobby on YouTube says this. You've got to kind of say that so people on Twitch would know who you're talking about. Yeah. Now connect.
I've got my OBS set up that my Twitch comments come up that as context for YouTube, but I can't find a way to get my YouTube comments to come up. But I know there's programs out there, but I've tried and failed a few. Yeah. I need to ask some of the people who are way more into it than I am in terms of I'm useless at software and hardware for that matter.
There'll be a plugin.
Yeah, there'll be something like that. Yeah, but that's my thing now. Is that, like you said, oh yeah, hi Bly on YouTube, how are you? And that's the best way to do it.
I mean, people do that and they stream on TikTok as well.
Yeah,
all the same time. And TikTok just put a rule out now: if you are streaming on TikTok, you can't kind of be streaming, but kind of trying to force people onto another platform. Which is the interesting one. So you can't just have a link going. If you want to interact, go to Twitch. You say no, you can't do that. Yeah. Which is interesting. I don't go live on all these things yet or whatever. But I think it's interesting where they kind of just want you in their places.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. TikTok is the one I want to hit next, but either certain plugins work better that I can't figure out, or you need to have 1,000 followers, and I'm not that.
I know. I'm not even that. Yeah, I don't use it enough. I kind of want to use it. I enjoy TikTok, but I just don't. I haven't put my eye of Sauron on it yet to kind of go, right, I'm going to do this properly. I just kind of push over clips from YouTube and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and do it properly.
Steve, that was amazing. I love that chat. That was so much fun. I really appreciate it. Oh, I got one more question to ask you. I forgot to ask it. We do a final question. We do a feature where we have a previous streamer asking a featured streamer a question. I forgot to ask you it, but I've just remembered. So a previous streamer, I can't remember who it was, has asked you or the person from the future a question, and it is: if you can go back in time and speak with yourself moments before your first stream We're about to play Phasmagoria. What would you say?
Just don't play that game, mate. Just choose anything else. Like literally anything. Go play Minesweeper, Solitaire. Anything else.
That's so funny.
Play another any other game you choose. I honestly would say there's not going to be a bondage scene in it. Someone's head's not going to get splattered like a pancake on the floor. Honestly, play anything else. Play Monkey Island.
That's
stuff
so
like that.
funny.
I'm
so happy I asked that question at the end, because
that
if I
works,
asked you
doesn't
that
it?
like half an hour ago, we wouldn't have had that moment.
That works, doesn't it?
That's so good. Have you got
amazing.
your video? Have you got like any VODs of that? I might want to see your reaction.
Do you know what? I don't have them from Twitch, and I put them on a YouTube channel years ago, and then I deleted the YouTube channel because I couldn't be bothered keeping up with two channels. So I got rid of it stupidly.
Oh wow. Amazing. What an ending. That's an amazing ending. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, mate. It's been a great chat.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun.
Oh, I'm glad. I really appreciate it. So one more time, can you tell us where we can find you on your socials? And
Yeah. Oh, it's so all the socials, just search for MrSteJ, which is the hardest username to say. No one knows how to say it, but it's MrSteJ, which is my name is Mr. Stephen Johnston. I just made it because it was the fewest amount of characters I could do. So I'm mainly on Twitch and YouTube.
Please tell me no one's called you MrSteJ. Please.
Oh, Mrs. Tej is one of the biggest ones. Damn. Yeah. Mrs. Tej and Stej. And when you raid someone new, or someone comes in, or someone else, someone mentions you on a stream, you can tell they're gonna have problems with their name because they go,
yeah.
It's that look, and I'm like, oh no. And it's a roll of dice moment of what they're gonna say, which is fun, I guess.
Oh, my wife.
It's my fault.
My wife is Punch It Sue. And particularly with Americans, like she doesn't really stream much anymore. She streamed a lot more a couple of years ago, but when she does stream, or when she has streamed in the past and she's raided someone, and it was always an American. I'm not to be disrespectful, but it tends to be. They always call her Punch. Hey Punch! Oh, how you doing? Thank you for the raid, Punch.
Well, I suppose that's what we do, isn't it? Like you'll pick one kind of syllable of a name, one or two syllables. Yes. Because you won't name the whole thing, so if they're punches, the dominant word, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would look for the name first. But
yeah.
Oh. Punch.
Thank you so much, Steve. That was a wonderful chat. Everyone, if you're not already, I know a lot of you probably already are, but if you're not following MrSteJ, please give him a follow. He's absolutely brilliant. And yeah, please check out his streams. And obviously, if you're new here and you've watched this for the first time, watch the other episodes. There's some awesome streamers we talk to on the channel. So. Yeah.
And subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, comment, subscribe.
Do it now. Do it now.
Oh, thanks so much, mate. I appreciate you. Right, yeah, thanks so much, everyone. You take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.